Hey friend, Chris here from LogicProRules.com, the website that helps you get the most you can out of Apple's Logic Pro. Today I want to show you 3 reasons why I think you should try out BeatBreaker, a relatively recent addition to the Logic Pro toolkit. Now BeatBreaker came out originally when Logic Pro for iPad was debuted, and then later on appeared in an update for Logic Pro for Mac. Now, you may have looked at BeatBreaker, it's a multi-effect plugin, and thought to yourself, 1, this looks a little too crazy. 2, I'm not an electronic beat maker. This doesn't really apply to me. I disagree completely, and I want to show you 3 reasons why you should check out BeatBreaker. It can be really helpful for just trying out new creative ideas, gating, and on top of that, being able to reverse sections, especially for MIDI. So let me show you. I have an instance of the Retro Rock drum kit in Logic Pro. Got drummer, and it's just a basic beat. Let's take a listen. All right, sounds great. Let's load BeatBreaker. If I go to the channel strip here in the inspector, go down to multi-effect plugins and pop open BeatBreaker. At first glance, you're probably going to look at it and say, what the heck is going on here? Now, even though I have this playhead that's dashing by, if I hit play, nothing will actually be different. Check it out. Sounds identical, and that's because BeatBreaker is having no impact on the audio as it is right now. Now, if I start to play with the different presets at the bottom, so right now we have it set to custom. If I choose one of the other presets here, take a listen. That might be your impression of BeatBreaker, and I have to admit, it sounds pretty cool, but again, if you're not an electronic producer or beat maker, you may be like, yeah, it's not for me. So let me show you. Let's set this back to its default preset. And right out of the gate, there are 2 main sections. You can see we have a playhead that's flying by. On the left-hand side, it's going from the bottom to the top. And on the main section with the orange line that scales upwards, the playhead goes from left to right. These are both waveform previews of the audio. Regardless if it's an audio track or MIDI or drummer or anything, we will see an audio waveform of that performance or recording or playback. Take a look again. So we're seeing the same audio in both sections. And this is really helpful for 2 different reasons. So number 1, what I want to show you with BeatBreaker is that you can actually play with the arrangements of your tracks without having to dig into the piano roll, without having to dig into the step sequencer or make a bunch of audio region edits. Instead, you can use BeatBreaker to try out different ideas. So we have a really basic beat, hats, kick, snare, and the kick and snare alternate. Take a listen, notice where the snare heads occur. Right, so it's kick on the 1, snare on the 2, kick on the 3, snare on the 4. If I click on this orange line on bar 2, and you can note right here that we have bar 1, or beat 1 rather, then beat 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, because we're on a 4 beat length currently, which can be adapted. But if I take beat 2 and drag it, you can see a highlighted section in the left-hand preview side. Right, so I'm dragging around, and what I'm doing right now is telling BeatBreaker which part of the beat I want to occur at this beat, at beat 2. So instead of having kick, hat, snare, I could have kick, hat, and then go back to the kick. Right, so we have another snare down here. Let me drag it down to that first kick again, and it'll be just the kick alternating. That's pretty awesome. I like that a lot. Notice that there's a bit of a clicking going on, and that's because drummer is pushing the beat. It's going a little ahead of the metronome of the click, the project. And so we're kind of clipping the front end of a hi-hat or a snare. If I go into the drummer editor, and let's hide by pressing V, BeatBreaker, in all plugin windows for the moment. If I go to the Details tab, I can adjust the feel. So instead of pushing against the tempo, let's pull against it, maybe -15. Take a listen and look again. Less of that clicking going on. And right there, I was able to test out a new idea, a new beat, without having to dig into an editor, without having to get into the piano roll, the step sequencer, or anything like that. All right, so that's number one. Number two is that Beat Breaker makes it really easy to gate audio. Now, by gating, what I mean is that you could completely eliminate the sound of sections of your audio in a very pinpointed way because you're seeing the waveform fly by. So let's recall the default. And let's now go to the volume tab in Beat Breaker. And now we have a yellow line. And the yellow line represents the volume of each beat. So we take a listen and a look. I'm going to bring down some of the drum hits. So the snare is quieter. Let's do the opposite and pull down all the hats. So pretty much alternate in between each beat here. And just like that, I can be as pinpointed as I need when it comes to those hits or those moments in the audio. I can bring them all the way down so we don't hear the hats, or, just bring down the level a little bit or increase the level because you can go in either direction. Right, so we'll recall the default one more time. And number three, I want to show you how easy it is to reverse a section of your audio. Now, when it comes to audio recordings, reversing is very simple. If I bounce this drummer region in place, and we'll just bypass the effect plugins for right now. If I bounce this into audio, so it's now an audio file, an audio region, and let's say this fill at the end, I want to reverse. It's very easy to reverse that section. I'll hold Command and press T to use the playhead to split this region into two. With the fill section, I'll go into the inspector here on the left-hand side, open the More tab, and I'll just click on this option for reverse. And now take a listen. Really awesome. However, when it comes to MIDI of any kind, not as simple. So let's power down the audio track here, bring back our MIDI track, essentially, the drummer track, and let's try to reverse this section right here, the fill. All right, so I can try splitting the region. Let me just convert to MIDI so nothing changes. I'll split the region. And right here in the region inspector, I don't see anything that says reverse. That's kind of a pain, right? So how do we get around this when it comes to MIDI? Well, to do that, let me just undo, close the editor, and let's bust open Beat Breaker. We'll start from bar 8 to the end and watch what happens right down here when I select this beat and adjust the speed. Now, if I adjust the speed into negative values, in this case, negative 100%. All right, something cool started happening. Let's do it again for each one of these beats. So I'll just double click, negative 100, and we'll do the same here. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's what we want. Okay. So I can continue to play around with this, but very quickly and easily, I'm able to reverse this MIDI. So I hope you can see the value in Beat Breaker, even if you're not an electronic musician or beat maker, in a more modern sense, but you're creating in any kind of style of music. It doesn't matter. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, as always, please subscribe to whylogicprorules.com here on the channel and on the website. And be sure to check out the description below where I always include links to PDFs, guides, and templates to help you in your journey with Logic Pro. I'll talk to you later. Take care.